The pawn system was one of Dragon's Dogma's defining features, adaptive AI companions that support and grow with the player throughout their adventure. They make a welcome return in Dragon's Dogma 2, and they are more useful and responsive than ever. So here is a neat little guide to tell you everything that you need to know about these lovable, babbling dummies and what you need to look out for when you're raising your pawn. Pawns are your invaluable companions that travel with you through the world of Dragon's Dogma 2. Your main pawn is your Capcom-assigned best buddy and will see you through this adventure till the very end. You can also hire 2 additional pawns, which are the creations of other players. Pawns can choose from either of the 4 starting vocations, as well as the Sorcerer and Warrior vocations, and, like you, they level these vocations up by gaining a form of experience called Discipline. And you can spend that Discipline to buy new skills and even switch vocations outright. Right from the beginning, you're able to set your pawn's Inclination, which not only affects their voice, but also their behavior in battle. A kind-hearted pawn will prioritize aiding their comrades, while a straightforward pawn will charge headfirst into a battle. A pawn with the calm inclination will stay on the defensive side, while a simple inclined pawn will try and go for a mix of all 3. You can later change your pawn's inclination by purchasing Rift Incense at the Pawn Guild in Vernworth. Keep in mind that your pawn is always learning, whether they are adventuring with you or other arisen across the Rift, be it the location of quest objectives, treasure chests, or how to defeat different kinds of enemies. Once your pawn has seen these things happening, they'll make sure to pass that information along. And that's true for other pawns that you summon into your world as well. If you check out your quest log, you'll notice a hand next to some quests which indicates which of your pawns has already completed the quest. If you hail that pawn and ask them about matters of import, they'll happily show you the way to your next selected objective. They will also point out clues for your current quest and tell you when it's time to revisit certain quest givers. But let's say that you don't have a pawn that has knowledge of a quest, and you're currently stuck on where to go next. You can fix this by making sure that the quest that you're stuck on is selected as your priority quest, then going to a Riftstone, doing an advanced pawn search, and making sure that Yes is selected in the box that reads Quest Knowledge. Your search results will then come back with a handful of pawns that have all done that quest before and can guide you to where you need to go next.
It seems fate has seen fit to reunite us.
Pawns will also pick up on a player's playstyle and habits. If you start tossing smaller enemies off cliff sides, for example, they'll do the same. They'll also learn ability combinations from the player as well as how to fight an enemy type as a vocation. They just have to see it first. Lastly, your pawn can also learn a specialization. Special traits that will make them even more useful when traveling around, such as logisticians, who will organize your packs as you go, and woodland wordsmiths, who can translate Elvish for the player. These specializations can be found all over the world and are usually obtained by befriending NPCs who specialize in that ability. For example, the Chirurgeon specialty, which allows pawns to use healing items to heal other party members, is found by befriending Flora, the daughter of the apothecary in Vernworth. As touched upon earlier, if you want to hire a pawn, you'll have to visit a Riftstone. They are found in almost every town, close to campsites, or just out in the wild. A Riftstone will automatically look for pawns around your level range, but you can use the advanced search to find more specific ones by filtering for vocation, level, specialization, and so on. If a pawn is above your level, you'll have to spend Rift Crystals to hire them. It's a currency that is usually obtained from other players hiring your pawn, or found out in the world in chests or as enemy drops. And it pays off to switch up your party makeup ever so often. Hired pawns won't level alongside the player and always stay at the level you have them hired. So it only makes sense to switch them out and adjust them to you and your pawn's current vocations. And while you can freestyle your party's composition however you like, we do recommend having at least one mage in your party at all times, to ensure that your party covers healing and support. Mages are the only vocation that can heal. And so, without one, you'll have to rely on your supply of consumables and regularly resting at campsites to keep your health topped off. Pawns will also have quests, small tasks, and assignments set by their owner that will reward the Arisen who hires them and completes the quest. These can be requests for materials, consumables, or special tasks to slay certain monsters. Depending on the task and reward, they are often worth checking out before you hire a pawn. And on the other hand, if you'd like to make your pawn more appealing to hire, you could set a pawn quest that rewards the other player well for doing something that they are already very likely to do, like slay a Cyclops or Ogre. Whenever you rest at an inn, your pawn will report back from the adventures that they just had in other worlds. Here you get to collect the RC we mentioned earlier, as well as any gifts your pawn might bring you from the other worlds. Here, or at a Rift Zone, you'll also be able to set your own pawn quests as well as their rewards. It is all about finding the right incentive, be it gold or rare items, to get players to complete your tasks. Tasking other players to fight a specific monster or explore certain areas is a great way of collecting pawn medals, achievements that are displayed on your pawn's profile. Basically, what it all boils down to is if you want your pawn to be the most popular in the lands across the Rift, you want to make them into the most useful little goober possible. And looks matter too. The reality is that having your pawns look like a celebrity or a popular video game character will go a long way. But you should also consider giving them a useful specialization and vocation combination, such as Chirurgeon and the Mage Vocation, which turns them into a dedicated healer. There is, of course, a lot more to cover about Dragon's Dogma 2, but this introduction to the pawn system should be enough to get you started. If you want to learn more about the lands of Vermund and Batal, our wiki and guides here on IGN are at your disposal. Thanks for watching, and for everything else, keep it here on IGN.
This boat is ill. We're like to be overwhelmed.